On Sunday, I went to a workshop. If anybody ever has ever heard of like the Family Constellations work, a friend of mine is a facilitator. I've done some work. It's really supported Celeste, my wife, and I when we've gone through some hard times in our marriage. We've done some family constellations work to basically step outside of our dynamics and see what deeper dynamics might be playing out from. They could be ancestral, they could be patterns, they could be things that we've inherited from our parents. And so I got a session done with a group that was there. But the night before I went to bed and I was asking, my subconscious, like, okay, what's the intention for tomorrow's workshop? What do I want to focus on in my session? And I had the coolest dream. I was somehow selected to be a part of this innovation incubator accelerator program over in Europe. And I've done a couple accelerators in Europe before. But somehow I managed to be one of a couple people who got selected to go up into outer space into this city-sized starship. Imagine like Star Wars. It was a massive starship, and I got suited up in this protective, cool, futuristic looking spacesuit. And a lady that was in this room that I was in, she opened a hatch in the floor, and I looked down, and it was basically infinitely expanding space. There was planets and stars and galaxies, and I was above it all. And then she opened this door to a cage, like imagine a shark cage. And I got in, and she lowered me down 300 or 400 meters below the starship. And I just got to hang out for an hour in the middle of outer space and just float there. And it was like the visions were so real, and the experience was just so awe-inspiring. For the rest of the night, once that dream was over, every dream I went into, I told whoever was there that I'd just been floating in outer space, and I told them the whole thing that I just told you verbatim. And so then the next morning, I told everybody in the house about my dream. And I went and I pulled a card from my friend's deck of cards, a roomie deck. And I'm not much of a card drawer, but if there's a special occasion, I might draw one. And I did, and it was literally the picture from my dream of the cosmos and the sun coming out from behind the earth. It was so cool, and the card was live the impossible dream. And when I look deeper into it, I mean, I feel the reason I'm telling this story is I feel like this is a relevant topic for all of us is like, what we're intending to do, the lifestyle that we want, the vision we have of service, the prosperity that we are inspired to create for ourselves, the legacy that we want to leave behind on planet Earth after we're gone. This is the impossible dream. There's very few humans on planet Earth that are thinking the way that we're thinking. My guess is if you're anything like me, you've had family and friends that think you're crazy for walking your path, that you're not doing something that, quote, is normal. Uh, and what really came up during my session is like I was the first entrepreneur on both my mom and my dad's side for as long as anybody could ever remember. Nobody, everybody, you get an education, you get a job, you do the job for a long time. We all know the story. That's kind of the program that's been run for a very long time, and I feel like we're all a part of generations that are breaking from that norm. And as I was going through this session, um, I've had this metaphor that I've been teaching for a long time of like building your business is like climbing a mountain. It's hard. There's beautiful, vistas that we have to appreciate along the way. That, we got to know what our next milestone is as we climb the mountain. That the ultimate transformation is what we're leading people towards. That we're not coaches or teachers, we're mountain guides, and we're here to lead people towards whatever that top of the mountain looks like for your particular style of work. Um, and just in the metaphor, I have seeded for myself that it's going to be hard. And it has been. I'm 20, 21 years in. It's been fucking hard. Like, there's been plenty of times where I wanted to quit or where I felt like I was cornered. Without getting into the story, I mean, that's a part of the reason why I'm pivoting with Magic Kids and we're going to be selling a huge piece of the company is like, it was hard. It was very, very hard. And so as I did this family constellations session, the energy of my mom came in, and my mom, she died a few years ago, and she had a lot going on. She never did the work on herself to overcome some of her traumas from childhood, and she was a bit of a martyr about it. You know, she really wore her pain as her personality, as who she was, and how she expressed herself and how she navigated through all of her relations. And what was really cool in this session is like when we struggle long enough, we don't realize the struggles are like that we have this weight on our shoulders until we've actually put the weight down and realized how much lighter we are without it. It's like with weightlifting, you lift a couple 100 pounds a whole bunch of times, then you put the weights down, all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's so much lighter without the weight. So what we did in this session was really look at how um, some of the ways that she influenced me to take on that hardship and struggle are part of the path, and that is just the way that it is, and there's nothing we can do about it. So, without getting too much more into that story, coming through the other side of it was really just about allowing what would it feel like if I created a new way of operating, a new operating system that aligned more with the lifestyle I want to carve for myself, the ways in which I want to be doing my work in the world. Because this selling of Magic Kids for me, and what I'm stepping into, it feels like the top of the mountain after a 20-year quest. Um, is like it's going to put me in a completely different position with my life, with my family, with my freedom, with the level of stress that I've taken on that will no longer be mine to bear. And so as I'm stepping into this new chapter that I feel is going to unfold within the next 2 to 6 months with the closing of this sale, and the stepping into just running the creative agency side of Magic Kids rather than running the whole company and the marketing and operations and everything. I've been really thinking about what changes I'm going to make, and how I want to align more with my nature that hasn't necessarily been able to fully be expressed. And so the reason I'm sharing the story is because I want to do an exercise with everybody here, which is to look at, if you were to really tune into your own nature, how you love to be in your life, what brings you peace, what brings you happiness, and then to look at how do you show up in your work? And is there alignment or congruency in these two things? Or are you making it harder on yourself than it actually needs to be? Um, and for me, like, carrying Magic Kids for the last 4 years of building it, uh, it was a lot of weight for sure. And I don't think I've talked about this a ton in the Inside the Magic Mind because it was like things were great. We've built something world class, but it was a big weight to carry for the last 4 years. Very expensive project. Um, and so just want to take a few minutes here to write out 10 things about that you know about yourself, that you know about how you love to operate, that in an ideal situation and world, you would run your daily life and your work, your rhythms, and your flow from. So just whatever comes to mind, write out those. Take about 3 or 4 minutes and see what comes through, and then we'll do the second part to this question.
Can you restate the question? I didn't track it. I was
Yeah,
listening.
yeah, yeah. So you're gonna write out In your ideal world, on the day to day, if you were to align with your natural way of operating and being, what are some of the ways in which you know you would thrive if you were to show up in your day to day? What helps you thrive? All right. So now we're gonna, next question here is how are you currently showing up in your work, life, or relationships that are the opposite of some of those on your lists? It might not be obvious, it might be subtle, it might be just subtle little things. How you're currently showing up, your work, life, or relationships that are the opposite or different. Doesn't have to be complete opposite of those lists. All right. And then the last one here is what are some small, subtle shifts or experiments you could try that would align you more with your thriving way of being? For example, one that I'm going to be trying in the coming months is 2 or 3 days a week. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to work until noon. And then I'm going to take the whole afternoon and evening off so that I can just enjoy. Instead of doing my 9:30 to 4:30, I want to finish work as soon as possible so that I can enjoy the rest of the day. Another one is about doing more, as many in-person experiences with people on the coaching, teaching, and playing realm that feeds my soul. And so what are some small, subtle shifts that you could experiment with? Take a few minutes there. All right. You can always keep working on that later on if there's something that's sparking your interest.